I think it's 18th today. Okay. So in problem 19, from this handout, we are told 6, negative 7, and perpendicular to x minus 7y minus 2 equals 0. So also remember, you must show all your work. The more work you show, if you make a error, I give you partial credit. If you don't show any work and you put 5 and the answer is 2, then you will not even get any credit, right? Okay, so please remember that. Okay, so here's the scenario. We are asked to find the equation of this line, and we have two pieces of information. One is that it passes through this point, 6 comma negative 7, and the other piece of information that has 90 degrees all over. It's perpendicular to this line whose equation is given. How do we start? What do we need to do? What is the idea here?
Separate the line and the equation.
Right, because I do have a point. So I'm thinking of y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. Why? Because this is not the y-intercept. So I have to use the point slope form. I do have x1, which is 6. I do have y1, which is negative 7. But I'm missing the slope. The slope is given, however, is given to us indirectly. Indirectly because we are told that this equation and this equation represent two perpendicular lines. So then if I solve this for y, like 7y equals x minus 2, I move 7y to the other side, and divide by 7, I get y equals 1 over 7x minus 2 over 7. And if I compare this to mx plus b, I know that the slope of the given line is 1 over 7. If the slope 1, let's call it 1, is 1 over 7, what will be the slope of this line that I'm really interested in?
Negative 7.
It is. Why would it be negative 7? Because remember, the product of negative 7 and 1 over 7 equals? Well, you don't have to. You just multiply them. Negative 1. Exactly. So negative 7 times 1 over 7 is negative 1. Therefore, the lines with these slopes are perpendicular. So all I have to do now is just in this equation replace the slope by negative 7. Now let's stop for a moment and let me ask you if this is okay so far.
Why was it 7y equals x minus 2 instead of negative 7y?
This was negative when I moved it to this side and becomes positive, and then I reversed it.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. You can simply move x and negative 2 to the other side, and then you divide by negative 7. It was easier for me to divide by 7 than negative 7, but it doesn't matter. You do not have to switch to my method. Yes?
Can you just re-explain how you got the negative 7 times 1 over 7?
Is it clear how we get 7? 1 over 7 here?
Yes.
Right. So 1 over 7 multiplied by which number is negative 1? That's the relationship between the slopes of two perpendicular lines.
Oh.
And it turns out that this cannot be anything else but negative 7, or negative 7 over 1.
Okay.
So when we're told that two lines are perpendicular, the product of their slopes has to equal negative 1. Once we have 1/7, we can determine the other one. We have to solve for y. So I'm going to copy y plus 7 equals negative 7x minus 6. Negative 7 turned into positive. I copied the negative 7, that was the slope, and then x minus 6. I have to solve for y. So this is negative 7x plus 42 and minus 7. Because I have to move 7 to the other side. So y equals negative 7x plus 35. This is the equation of the line passing through the given point and perpendicular to the given line. You all have this handout, correct?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. I have some spares, so if you want to have another one when you leave, please feel free. Yes,
So number 19.
number
The
19.
equation of the line in point so form, that's the y plus 7.
I'm not going to care for that. I'm only going to ask you to solve for y. You have to start with the point slope form, and you have to solve for y, so I really don't care for that. Perfect question. Anything else? What else would you like to go back to? Number 7? Of course. Let's take a look at number 7. Today is your day, so whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. Just don't ask me to jump from the Empire State Building, please. I'm trying to be funny. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, what type of, what is it and what type is it? This is a, awesome. What type? Good. What is it? What type of easy? He said easy. What type of easy, please?
Multiply both sides by all sides.
It's called, it doesn't have x in the denominator, and we have not solved rational inequalities yet. We don't know how to solve them yet. No, it doesn't have x squared. What can it be then? Of course, linear. It is linear. It is a linear inequality. Good. So we already got an idea. Any questions, please? So you said that we are going to multiply in order to eliminate fractions. We're going to multiply both sides by? I completely agree. But since we are dealing with fractions, I recommend multiplying by 12 over 1. Why? Because we want to simplify before we multiply. That is always the best thing to do. So therefore, I'll simplify by 4. So then I get 3x minus 14. I'll simplify by 6, and I get 2 quantity x minus 7. And I'll simplify by 12, and I get positive 1. Is this okay so far? So, of course, now I'm going to, can anyone guide me?
3x minus 42.
Right. So 3x minus 42 greater equal to 2x minus 14 plus 1. I will combine like terms. You know that I prefer to keep the variable on the left. You don't have to. That's just my habit. You create your own, whatever it works for you. So then it's x greater than or equal to, I think it's 29. In interval notation, I will write x in the interval 29 to infinity. Is this okay? Any questions? Yes, please. Yes.
When your answer is negative, that's when you flip the sign,
Yeah, only when you divide by
Only when I divide or multiply.
right?
I did not multiply or divide by anything.
Okay.
Yes, please, Victoria.
What's the best way to remember that the 29 in this equation gives as an x and infinity sign is the y?
Because once you read it, x is greater than or equal to 29. So the numbers must be to the right of 29. I saw that 1 second. If you have less than or equal to, you will say x is a number that is 29 or less. And those numbers will start at negative infinity and stop at 29. Yes, I'm sorry.
What number question is this?
Sorry.
7. Good. Next question, please. Yes, please. Which number? Number 20. I cannot stress enough, please redo all problems we did in class and finish up your homework between now and Monday. Monday is the deadline. We're done with everything, including 2.4.
Does that include the quizzes as well?
Yeah, I think it's just one quiz. I don't think you have more than one quiz per test. Okay, if it's two, just do just one because I think the second one may include 2.5. So you can hold off on quizzes.
Hold off on quizzes?
Yeah, because I don't know. I have to look. I don't want to say something and then I have to come back and apologize. So the first quiz may include 2.5. If it's before 2.5, please take the first quiz to finish up with the first quiz. But if it includes 2.5, please wait so I can present the material first.
Yeah, the first one doesn't include.
It does not. Okay, so just quiz 1 then. So all the material is through 2.4 and quiz 1. Okay, so we have 20. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Okay. So we are looking at problem 20. And we are given, we're asked to find the average rate of change between 50 and 60. And I'm looking at those 2 points with 50 and 60. Any questions? Please ask. Please ask. Anything. Anything? Okay, so I'm looking at those 2 points. This is 50 and 60 right here. So 27.6 minus 35.8 divided by 60 minus 50. Do you expect the answer to be a positive number or a negative number? Yes, of course. It appears that the trend is decreasing. Very good. So all you have to do is just find the slope of the line that would connect those 2 points. And please tell me what you get. I don't know what I did with my calculator. I just got it. So what is it?
It's
Negative 0.82.
yes.
Perfect. It means nothing without the measurement unit. Ladies, yes.
I didn't understand where you got the 27.6. I just didn't realize how it was written.
That's your order.
Yeah, I get
Okay, I see that now.
Any questions? Don't let me move on. If you have questions, please. Okay. So this has no meaning without a measurement unit. And we know that the rate of change, or the average rate of change, has a measurement unit that has 2 measurement units in it. One coming from the measurement unit for the numerator over the measurement unit of the denominator. So what is the numerator measured in? Very good. Per. And what is the measurement unit for the x-axis? Year. Very good. What does this mean? It's depressing. Why is it depressing? Because it says, in other words, if the data are correct, it says that the life expectancy decreases by 0.8 of a year per year. So if you're born in 2020 and the model still holds, for somebody born today or in 2020 or even 5 years ago, that person is expected to live by 0.82 of a year less every year than people born before that. So if it is true, it's depressing. Okay, any questions?
So it's per year, not in 10 years. It's
No, you have to multiply by 10 years to determine that. It's per year. Yes. So please remember the measurement unit of the top comes from here and the measurement unit for the bottom comes from here. Good. Any questions? Moving on. Anything else you tried? Anything else you want to try? Anything?
Can we do number 2?
Number 2. In number 2, we have 3. X plus 7 squared equals 36. Number 2. Any questions? Yes, please.
The second part.
Oh, what, on 20?
Yeah, it's the average rate of change between ages.
Yeah, so it means that it decreases per year by 0.41 of a year.
So what's the difference between A and B?
This is something we calculated and we concluded.
Yeah,
This is something that they gave us.
A and B of the question. So like.
Oh, okay. But you understand that the problem has 2 parts. The first part is when we determine what we want to determine, and we interpret that. The second part is they're giving us an example between ages 7 and 80, and so the average rate of change between ages 70 and 80 is negative 0.41. Now let's read the answers, okay? You're not going to get anything like this with a multiple choice. You're not going to choose anything.
Well, I'm just saying.
But I want to answer, sure, yes.
They,
So life expectancy decreases each year between the ages 70 and 80 by 0.41 years. Life expectancy decreases by 0.41 years between the ages of 70 and 80. Huge difference.
I just got it. It's not like, it's just between those ages is when it decreases. It's not like.
It's
the
per
whole-
year. Careful. It's per year.
So,
So it's negative 0.82 years per year. Let's read those 2 answers one more time. Life expectancy decreases each year between the ages of 70 and 80 by 0.41 years. Life expectancy decreases by 0.41 years between the ages of 70 and 80.
it's like if you calculate miles per hour. So you can calculate miles per hour by going a certain amount of distance. Whether or not you go that full hour doesn't change which unit is on top or bottom. So if I drive X miles per 1 hour, just because I reduce the numbers does not mean I change which number represents which variable. In which case, so life in years is on time and it remains on time, and the year that it is remains on bottom.
Okay, that's not the difference. But it's a nice try. So here's one more time. Let's go again one more time. Between the years 50 and 60, any questions? Any questions? Between the years of 50 and 60, each year, per year, the life expectancy decreases by 0.82 of a year. So now let's read these 2 one more time. Life expectancy decreases each year between the ages of this and this by 0.41. Life expectancy decreases by 0.41 years between the ages of 70 and 80. Which one is correct? Of course, because it's per year. It's not between the ages of 70 and 80, right? Yes, between 70 and 71, it already decreased by 0.41. Between 71 and 72, it decreases by another 0.41. Between 72 and 73, it decreases by another 0.41. It's not for this chunk 0.41. It's per year 0.41. We are losing 0.41 of an year per year from our life expectancy. So this is wrong. Life expectancy is 4.1 years between the age. Of course not. Life expectancy increases. No, of course not. It decreases. Is this better? Clear? Excellent. Good. Next problem. Okay, I'm sorry. I already have a problem. I forgot. So, what type of equation is it? How many solutions we expect, and which method we apply? We expect 2 solutions. Awesome. What type of equation is it?
Binomial, right? No, right.
Binomial is not an equation, but you're close. Quadratic. Very good. And now the question is, what do I do? I have to clean it up first. It's mandatory to clean it up first. How do I clean it up? Yes. So I have x plus 7 squared equals 12. That's my first step. Awesome. Now, which method is it ready for? Yes, applying the square root. So what do we have on the left? Awesome. What do we have on the right?
Positive and negative.
Awesome. That's why I asked you from the very beginning. If you do not put plus or minus, of course, I'm not saying you didn't. I'm just re-emphasizing. And now I have to simplify the square root of 12. Remember, this is 4 and 3. I have to write 2 the square root of 3. So then the solutions are negative 7 plus or minus 2 the square root of 3, and it's done.
That's okay, we don't have to like plus 7 or minus 7.
No, it would be a waste of time in this case because you cannot simplify. Hold on, Richard, 1 second. You will not do that because you cannot further simplify. Will it be wrong to do it? No. It would just be a waste of time. Sorry, my apologies.
So I put the negative 7 at the end. Is that okay too? Does that have to go?
It's not a mistake, but let me explain why we don't.
On the website, it asked for like a certain way, so I just got used to kind of like doing it like that.
I doubt that they do that. If you want to show that to me, please do. I doubt. Let me explain why we don't do that. So if I have the square root of x plus 2, it's okay. But if I have, let's say, 7 plus or minus the square root of 3, instead of plus or minus the square root of 3 plus 7, I may, it's possible, think that there is a square root on top of 7. So that's why we avoid this situation. When we have x, yeah, we have to be very careful, right? Because that would be an error. But when we have numbers, we prefer the number in front of plus or minus and then to the square root of 3. Will I deduct points if you put minus 7 here? No, of course not. It's correct, the same thing, right? 2 plus 3 is 3 plus 2. The order is not important. But I caution you because sometimes we write fast and we may think that maybe I didn't extend the square root symbol enough, and then we put it in and the whole thing collapses. So it's just a caution that I'm putting out there. Yes, Victoria.
So as long as the x is by itself and everything else is on the right side.
You're done.
It's correct.
Correct. Yeah, then there is no point in separating those because you cannot simplify. Yes, please. Next one. Yes,
I
Vanessa.
always get tripped up on the square root of 12 and getting the 2 square root.
You have to remember
I
that
just popped that in there and that was my answer. And it was, you're not gonna-
it depends on the number you get. So you will always try to find the perfect square, but it has to be a product. Do not write, because you can say, why don't you write 9 plus 3? 9 is a perfect square, but you cannot break the sum under a square root. You can break the product, but not the sum. So as long as you find a perfect square and the rest that is not a perfect square, you're fine. Very good questions. Yes, anything?
Can we go over 15 or just a couple of comments?
Yeah, whatever you want. Which one is 15, you said? Good. So let's take a look at 15 and answer those questions. Can anyone give us the domain of this function? Very good. Awesome. Can anyone give us the range?
Bracket negative symbol.
Awesome.
I was confused by bracket or parentheses.
So if a point exists, it's not open, you have to use a bracket. Parentheses are always parentheses. Infinities are always parentheses. Those are not numbers, are symbols.
Right. That was for the -4, I guess.
But the point exists. It's not open. Is there a hole in it?
I don't know. I
They
guess.
don't show any points. They have arrows.
No. She's talking about 4, -4. So if for this to be an open point, it has to be like this. Do I see this in here? Oh. Do I see this? No, so it has to be a bracket. So if it's an open point, then I put a parenthesis. So it's like a hole in the graph. If it's a hole in the graph, I cannot use a bracket. I have to use a parenthesis. But this is absolutely full. There is nothing missing there. Is that clear? She was asking about, yeah. Yes, please.
Where's the -4? That's where I was.
1, 2, 3, 4. From the lowest y value till the largest y value. Is that better? Is that okay? Perfect. Other questions before we move on? Anyone else? Any questions, please? Okay, so X-Intercepts. I agree with x equals 3 and x equals 7. If we are asked the ordered pair, we will write 3, 0 and 7, 0. The Y-intercept, please. Yes, the Y-intercept is when y is 20 or 0, 20. As you noticed, remember 0, 20 is the Y-intercept. Say it again. Oh, it's 21? I'm sorry. Yes, that's okay. I didn't even look. I trusted you. Okay, intervals on which f is increasing.
And so you're always reading left to right.
Yes.
Wouldn't it be 7 to infinity?
Increasing, no. Between 5 and infinity. 5 and infinity on the x-axis. 5 and infinity.
The lowest point then? Or, like, how did you get 5?
We are talking about, look at me for a second, trend. Not from what to what. We're talking about trend.
Oh, exactly where it says.
Exactly on the x-axis. We only read on the x-axis. We're talking about the trend, not from what to what. Is that clear, everyone? Perfect. Intervals on which the function is decreasing. 0 to 5. Awesome. F constant.
Is that -infinity 0?
Excellent. Negative infinity 0 is constant. Perfect.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Would we ever put brackets on them?
Never. Excellent question. When we talk about trends, we are only keeping parentheses. Any questions? Okay. The number at which f has a relative min.
5?
X equals 5. I agree with 5. At x equals 5, there is a relative min. In the next question, they're asking us, what is the relative min? Yes, y equals -4, relative min. Perfect.
Do you need to write that all out like that on the class?
Yes, please. F of -6. Very good. F of -6 equals 21 or -6, 21. Awesome. The values of x for which f of x is -3. Say it again. The values of x for which f of x is -3. Now we are given y. We draw a horizontal line and we read this x and this x. I read 4 and 7. X equals 4 and x equals 7 for f of x being -3. Final question, is this, yes?
Why did we get 7? Why wouldn't it stop at the first one?
But it crosses 2. I can't. I have to draw the horizontal line all the way. I can't say, oh, it hit here, I'm going to stop. I have to draw the entire line all the way. Final question, is this odd, even, or none of the above?
Now I do both.
Very good. Not symmetric. Definitely not symmetric. It's not symmetric with respect to the y-axis. It's not symmetric with respect to the origin. The function is not symmetric. Awesome. Yes, please, Victoria.
Go back to the letter J, where it says F -6
Yes,
equals 21.
yes.
Can you explain?
You draw a vertical line at -6. It hits the graph at 21, and you read 21.
I was looking at the wrong numbers.
That's okay, no problem. No problem. Very good. Good pick. Anything else? Other questions? Anything you want from me?
I got the first part of 14, but I'm not sure how.
Very good. Let's look at 14. Our next question is 14.
I'm just not sure how you determine y-axis.
Ladies, please. X to the 4th minus 4x. Okay, I guess I need my tent back. Bless you. Okay, so here we're asked to identify whether this function is odd, even, or none of the above. What do we need to determine or calculate every time we're asked to find whether the function is symmetric? What do we need to calculate?
G of negative x.
Awesome. Did you all hear? G of negative x. Excellent. That's the starting point. Let's do it. Please tell me what to write.
Negative x to the 4th minus 4 parentheses negative x.
Great job. So now I have to identify what this is or calculate, and then I have to calculate this, and please tell me what do we get.
Negative x to the 4th plus 4.
Careful. 4 negatives. Positive, very good. X to the 4th, and then plus 4x. Perfect. Now remember, we have 3 questions to answer now. Does this equal the original function, which is x to the 4th minus 4x? If you say yes, then we will conclude that the function is even. Does this equal the opposite f of x? How do I get the opposite? Oh, I'm sorry, it's g of x. I'm used to writing f so much. Okay, so how do I get negative g of x? Multiplying both sides by -1. This times -1. This times -1. If it happens that this quantity equals this quantity, then we'll say that the function is odd. And the third option is none of the above. The function is not symmetric. So let's compare. Are these two identical? No. Are these two identical? Are these two identical? The function is not symmetric. Very good. Anything else?
How do you determine whether it's y-axis or origin or neither?
If it's not
Or
symmetric?
that's neither.
If it's not symmetric? Good. Anything else that you tried? Anything else? It doesn't have to be just from this packet. You may have questions from my math lab. You may have questions from the notes. You may have questions from anything. You decide.
The piecewise one.
Yes. Yes. Let's look at that one. Which one is it?
16.
16? So we have f of x, which is 1/2 x squared for x less than 2, and 5x minus 4 for x greater than or equal to 2. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is identify the domain. Every time I'm asked to graph a function, I will always start by identifying its domain. So first I'm going to change this into -∞ to 2, because these symbols will be the symbols that I will be using in the table. Then this will change into bracket 2, comma, infinity. Do you agree with these two? And then will you give me the domain then? Right, nothing is missing. There is no gap in the graph. Perfect. So now I can get my table going. Negative infinity to infinity. I have 0 in the table and of course 2, mandatory. And I copy the two symbols, they're touching. One is a parenthesis to the left, facing left, and the other one is a bracket facing right, exactly what I have here. I'm just copying them under 2. And the first piece uses 1/2 x squared. Of course, the second piece uses 5x minus 4. I'm going to plug in -1, 1, and 0. When I plug in -1, oh, I prefer 2 because I don't want to have a half point in there. I don't need the 1. It's more than I need anyway. So -2 squared is 4. 4 divided by 2 would be 2. I plug in 0 and I get 0. And I plug in 2 and I get 2 as well. I plug in 2 in the left, so obviously this will be an open point because of the parenthesis. And this will be a closed because it's a bracket. So 10 minus 4, which is 6. And then for 3, 15 minus 4, which is 11. Any questions?
So you just decide which ones you want to plug in.
Not really. So I'm looking for x and y intercepts, and because I know it's a quadratic function, I need more than 2 points. Here, when it's linear, I know 2 points will be enough. It depends on the function. Yep. So from left to right, I have -2, 2. I have 0, 0. And I have 2, 2, but this time this is an open point. And I will be graphing the quadratic function. On the other side, I started 2, 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this is function f of x, and when you're ready, I like to get the range.
Bracket 0 to infinity.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Very good. Again, don't even look at those. You're not going to have to choose from anything. You're going to have to show your work. Good. Next. Anything else you want from past lectures, from book, from... Yes, Chris, go ahead. Number 18. So we have 7x minus 6y plus 42 equals 0. We're asked to find the x and y intercepts. So when x is 0, just cover this term and move 42 to the other side. -6y equals -42, so y equals 7. So you have 0, 7, the first ordered pair. Any questions here? The other one is when y is 0, so I cover that and I move 42. So I have 7x equals -42, so x equals -6. So this one is -6, 0. I have everything I need. Do not waste your time. As if you remember, I mentioned that. Do not waste your time to solve for y and use the slope. No, 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 no. Please don't do that. So here it is. -6, 0 is right here. And 0, 7 is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You must connect and extend, and you have to write the equation of the line somewhere. 7x minus 6y plus 42 equals 0. Anywhere, left, right, above, below the line, anywhere on the graph, somewhere, you have to write the equation that you graphed. Good. Anything else?
13.
Which one?
13.
13. Let's take a look at 13. Okay, in 13 we are given a graph, and we notice that this point is at 1, 0, and this point is at negative 2, 0. Not negative 1, 0. If you try to fold this graph with I'm sorry?
It's not gonna work.
Yes, it's not going to work. If you try, that's what you, yes, you're right. So if I'm trying to fold, as you see, those will not fall, they will not overlap. So obviously this function is not symmetric. It's not even, and it's not odd. The function is not symmetric. Yes, please.
12.
Yes, let's do 12. Yes. Lisa, what did you have? I'm sorry? The same thing? Oh, awesome. So in number 12, we are asked the numbers at which the function has a relative max. There is only one, which is x equals 3. At x equals 3, the function has a relative max. What is the relative max? The relative max is 5. Now for relative min, it has relative min at 2 and 4. 2 and 4. It happens that the relative min is the same, y equals 1. So this will be the relative min, and this will be the relative max.
So you're gonna solve the 4.
No, I will answer at x equals 3, the function has a relative max. The relative max is 5. At 2 and 4, the function has a relative min, and the relative min is 1. Very good. Next question. Is there anything else? Yes. Let's look at 17. In 17, we are given 2 points, negative 5, negative 4, and 5, 10. And we are asked to find the equation of the line passing through them. So what is the, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to write. 17. So what do I need to determine first in order to find the equation of the line? Very good. Label them as x1, y1, and x2, y2 if you'd like. And then finding the slope, write y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 10 minus 4 over 5 minus 5. So this is 14 divided by 10, or 7/5. And now we have to use y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1, in which the slope is 7/5. And I'm going to use the first point as negative 5, negative 4. This is good, but it's not good enough. We have to solve for y. Ready?
Does it matter what point you use?
No. No, let me explain why. We used both points to determine this, so it doesn't matter. If you use this point and I use this point, we'll get the same equation. There is only one equation of a line passing through these 2 points. If you use this point or use this point, it doesn't matter, because we used both to find the slope. Very good question. So y plus 4 equals 7/5 x plus 5. I distribute 7/5 x plus 7, and I bring 4. So final 7/5 x plus 3. This is the equation of the line passing through the given points. How are you doing? Is everything okay so far? Please redo the problems we did in class. When I write the test, I'm going to look at what I did and also your work in my math lab. I promise I'm not going to invent anything. If it wasn't done in class, if you haven't seen it in class, you're not going to see it on the test. I'm ready for the next, whatever question you may have. If you'd like to come in early on Monday, if you think you need more time, please do so. I'll be here.
What would be the point slope form of the equation?
This is the point slope form of the equation.
Oh, okay.
From the point slope form, you will determine this. I'm not really interested in that because you have to use it anyway. I'm interested in this.
So how many questions is the test going to be?
About 20, yeah. Don't forget the difference quotient. So if you have a question on that.
Can we do another one that's like number 19?
Number 19. Yeah, we can invent one. Just give me a point and give me a line that you want it parallel, you want it perpendicular, it's up to you.
We're going to do a line that passes through 52.
Good.
And it's perpendicular to x plus 3y minus 4.
Excellent. Perfect example. Great job. Okay, so the scenario is this. We want to find the equation of this line. And we know two things about it. It passes through 8, 2, and it's perpendicular to this line, which is x plus 3y minus 4 equals 0. How do we start? Well, I know I have a point. I know it's not the it's not the exactly y-intercept. So I'm going to get ready the point slope form in which I have 8 and 2. But I'm missing a very important part of what I'm doing, and that is the slope. So how do I find the slope?
So for y.
Yes, I will be solving this equation for y. 3y equals negative x plus 4. And we have to do what next? Divide both sides by. So then y equals negative 1/3 x plus 4/3. I identify the slope m1. This is the slope m1. The question is, how do I find the slope m2? Or what is it? The slope m2 must be 3. Do we all agree with 3?
Yes.
Because this product has to be negative 1. So all you have to do, go back and replace this by 3. The slope. So y minus 2 equals 3, x minus 8. 3x minus 24, and I bring 2 over. And finally, I get y equals 3x minus 22.
Would we have done that differently if they were parallel?
Yes, the slope would have been negative 1/3, the same. Yeah.